My name is Marsha Ripert. I'm from Boston. I'm currently a rehab specialist working full-time. I remember growing up watching Law and Order. I was watching just a lot of like law shows going on. So in my mind, I was so sure that I wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, I was convinced. I was like, you know what? Like, this is so cool. Like, you can make money. You can help your family out. And given that my family was a immigrant family, I always wanted to be a lawyer, or thought about being a lawyer, to help my family members out that were still back home. I was so sure, and going into high school, they had asked me what I want to be. I said lawyer. I didn't care what it took. I didn't care how much it cost. I just knew that's what I wanted. Even when teachers told me, like, you know, your mind can change when you go to college, you meet different people, you get exposed to different things. I didn't realize that it could happen to me because I was so sure. A lot of people aren't sure going into college what they want to do, but because I was so sure, I didn't think that applied to me. I was discouraged when I was in classes, getting to know new people, like from different backgrounds. Sometimes they kind of presented themselves as like, you know, I come from this background, I'm prepared. They were talking differently than I was. From a Boston public school, it's harder to feel confident in your education when you're around different people from different backgrounds. When it came to sophomore year, I needed a job, and that's when I was introduced to human services. I didn't think anything of it. Human services was something that I could just do just to pay my gas, help my mom out, you know, have fun in college, you know, whatever. But that quickly changed. So my sophomore year, being introduced to human services, I was a residential counselor. It was definitely something that was like outside of my comfort zone. I thought I could never picture myself doing what I was doing. I was doing direct care for individuals with mentally ill background. And I remember telling myself, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and like, I'm not gonna work much. Little did I know that I was gonna like it. And not the job itself, but like the population. I grew compassionate towards the population, because a lot of people don't realize that mental illness is everywhere. Anyone can have a mental illness. I took the initiative of like taking other human service classes because it was relatable, only because I'm actually working in that field. And it was then where I realized that, you know, I'm around people that are mentally ill. Obviously, I'm no doctor. I'm not someone that could diagnose anybody, but I never realized that, you know, someone as close as my siblings or my parents or a friend has a mental illness. Since then, I've worked for the field since my sophomore year. Going into my junior year, I kind of distanced myself from school. I was working a lot. I was working about 60 hours a week. Going into my senior year of college, I was already distant with my friends, but that's only because I had to mature quickly. That was my turning point, where I felt like I was changing. I felt myself becoming careless of my job and my clients, or even school. I just wanted to get things done, just to get out of school, to work. I just wanted to find a different avenue. That was a problem. I was okay for the first month or two, and then I hit my breaking point again. I was still careless. I was still frustrated. I was still tired. I was still, you know, not happy or compassionate of what I was doing. So that's when I kind of left. I just couldn't do it anymore. So then I moved on to being a youth and family support specialist. I worked with families that were involved with DCF. Now I'm a rehab specialist. I'm still working in the human service field. It's been almost 4 years now. I love my job because it's shown me that I can be capable of going to go get my master's. Through all this, I can say that I feel blessed. God plays a big role in it. I wouldn't have been able to get through these different transitions through jobs, to be in this field in general, it was God only. There is no way I would still be in this field if it wasn't for God. God plays a role when I fell asleep behind the wheel trying to get to work, because I have so much to do. I'm always in a rush, but I was still able to get on track. I was still able to have the motivation to get through different jobs and to get the different experiences, to meet new people. Everything was late. All my bills, I was at least 3 or 4 months late behind bills. And somehow my lights are still on. Somehow I still have a roof over my head. One of my most proud accomplishments was being able to pay off a credit card last year. I worked my 60 hours a week and I made sure I was able to pay off that credit card. You know, having that financial burden, you know, made me more distant or angry or, you know, cheap. I wasn't spending money. I didn't want to have fun. I just wanted to work. That's all I wanted to do. There was nothing else that was on my mind but to work. I felt like I needed to pray more. I felt like I needed to be closer to God because my sanity was kind of like on the line. I was feeling helpless, and I'm grateful for, you know, my parents forcing me to go to church when I was younger. I never understood it until now. I have a relationship with God. I've realized that spiritually, because I'm connected to God, that my life have improved in all aspects. I am starting to just accept the path that God has put me in. Right now, I think it's very clear that, you know, law school is not it right now. My advice to, you know, anyone out there would be that you don't always have to plan what's going to happen next. You don't always have to know what's going to happen next. You can always have an idea of what you want to do, but it's not guaranteed that's going to happen. You really can't control what's going to happen. You really can't. And be yourself. That little skill that you have that you may be discouraged about may take you far.